Similar to how they've looked the last 2 months of the year. I mean, they're 4-5 now, or they were 4-5. This season's now over. In the last 9 games of the year, they played a quality opponent. They couldn't get to 17 points. Now, it is the first game all year they've lost when holding an opponent to 17 or less. They were 12-0 in those spots, 0-4 when the opponent scores more than 17. Defense did its job. Well, you know what? Actually, I was thinking the game ended 14-13. The stat remains because the Titans did get that touchdown at the end, 28-13. Yeah. So the defense held them under, but the offense gave the touchdown. I forgot about the touchdown at the end. Defense did its job until the single biggest play of the game. Belichick didn't trust Brady enough to let him go for a 3rd and 4, 2 plays after the Edelman drop, punts it away, believing we're going to sell out against the run on 1st and 2nd down, force them into a pass on 3rd down, I imagine is what he's thinking. He got exactly that. And then Harvard grad Ferkser, who I was not that familiar with, I'm being honest, prior to his touchdown early in the game, makes the play on Ryan Tannehill's 8th completion of the night. And that was it. Like, that was all she wrote. So how did they get in that position? Well, 2 players. Derrick Henry was sensational, what looked like Earl Campbell, and Tom Brady looked like an old man. Tom Brady, and I understand he's receivers. He could have, you guys both won Super Bowls playing wide receiver. He could have used either one of you guys, not necessarily in your prime. I'm talking about just literally on Saturday. Come out there and help out if you can. Yeah. But 7 of 21 for 68 yards on passes to receivers. All Brady's yards came on those little dump-offs, screen passes, and guys running. So the Patriots offense, after good drives, 2 of their first 3, died. And the defense played well, but did not score. They didn't get a special team score, and they needed that jolt in order to be able to overcome the Titans. Yeah, usually this team wins because of defense, and usually because of special teams. Their defense let them down woefully. I mean, Henry having 160-plus yards, that you're not going to win many games in the NFL if you let that happen. Home, away, it doesn't matter if you have Tom Brady or, Joe Montana. If you can't stop the run, it starts to unravel. And when you look at the way that on the outside, you look at the receivers, and it's just, like you said, nobody's ever won the Kentucky Derby on a donkey. You need the horses, and they don't have any horses on the outside. Edelman is a respectable receiver, good receiver, but you got to get guys on the outside to open up the defense so that Edelman can do his stuff and work in the middle, and that's just not happening. With Gronk out, they just don't have what it takes to beat the upper echelon teams consistently in a playoff type of situation.
Yeah, this was solely on their offense. The defense, I get it. You gave up 160 yards to Derrick Henry. But you knew what you were getting into with Derrick Henry and that Titans offense and what they wanted to do. They wanted to run the ball. They were going to hang their hat on that. You mentioned Ryan Tannehill had 8 completions. Like, that was not their game plan. Their game plan was turn around, hand it off to Derrick Henry, wear them down, and that's what happened. Offensively, they just don't have anything. Like, they ran the ball better, but they didn't run the ball like they did last year in the postseason and at the end of the season. Tom Brady, obviously, he's not the Tom Brady that we once saw. But I can't just put it solely on him. They have, you mentioned it, they have no one on the outside that stepped up, including Edelman. Like, they just didn't step up. And Edelman has been a great player in the postseason for them, and he didn't step up. But I can't put it solely on him. It's the guys around him. When you don't have another option to go to, a N'Keal Harry, Philip Dorsett, nobody rises to the level. A Mohamed Sanu, who you thought bringing him in was going to help you sustain drives and create opportunities for Julian Edelman, but it didn't. And so Brady just looks older and worse because he doesn't have anyone that can create separation and get open.
Why does it bother you so much, Nick, that we absolve Tom Brady of anything because he has no weapons to work with?
Well, listen, I do feel for him. If only he had Austin Ferkser. I mean, if only he had these. I mean, if only he had DK Metcalf, a guy who was taken after N'Keal Harry. I mean, guys like the Patriots do not have elite weapons. We cannot talk about them like they had the worst weapons in football this year. They did not. They have a first-round pick at running back, a first-round pick at wide receiver, and a player at another wide receiver they spent a second-round pick on in Mohamed Sanu, a veteran midseason addition that when he was acquired, the narrative was, oh, this is a huge ad for him. Did he fall off? Or did he go from getting to play with Matt Ryan to having to play with a 42-year-old Tom Brady? And again, I'm going to do the old reading rainbow thing. Don't take my word for it. Does Josh McDaniels trust him? First and goal from the 1. Handoff, stoned. Second and goal from the 1, handoff, stoned. Third and goal from the 1, handoff, stoned.
Now, but is that him not trusting Brady, or is him not trusting the running backs or the offensive line that was
or
just
the personnel, the skill guys on the outside?
Yeah. Who's going to throw it to?
Well, okay, so they don't have a player who can catch a 1-yard touchdown. They don't have a player who, if they can go play action pass and throw it over the middle. I know that on 3rd and 1. Josh McDaniels said at midfield early in the game, our best option is our inside linebacker playing fullback to run the football. Yeah. On 1st and goal, 2nd and goal, 3rd and goal, you took I'm not calling the plays. They took the ball out of Brady's hands. Mm-hmm. So, 4th and 4, when Derrick Henry has been just crushing you all game. Bill Belichick said, I believe in my defense stopping him more than Brady's ability and the offense's ability to get 4 yards. Those are the facts. Like that's what happened. Now we can argue he should have trusted him more. You can argue that if he would have shown more faith in Tom Brady, they would have won that game. I'll even listen to that, because I think if you would have told Brady it's either going to be 3 runs at the goal line or 3 passes at the goal line, maybe even a 4th because you're not going to lose yards on one of the passes, that they would have gotten a touchdown, and that could have changed the game entirely. But they didn't trust him. They thought they could win the only way they've won all year, which is making sure our quarterback doesn't make the critical mistake, which he did not until the final play of his career as a Patriot, which was a pick 6 going the other way, or what I believe will be his career as a Patriot, and that our defense will win it for us. And the defense in the final moment was not able to step up and get off the field.
With this win. First playoff
My
game.
God, Josh.
Young, what's we, 22 years old?
Yeah, you got to learn, man.
But let's talk about the quarterback across from him and Deshaun Watson and how superb. How impressed were you with what he did yesterday?
It's funny because I'm not impressed. I mean, I know what kind of player he is. I've been watching him ever since he was at Clemson. But his mentality is really what impresses me. The fact that no matter what happens in the beginning of the game, when
it was a slow first half.
Yeah, he wasn't spectacular.
Yeah.
And then he comes back in the 4th quarter, and that mindset where he is just on that level, and you can see he's ready to perform. He's ready to be at his best. And you can see his teammates realizing that. And I played with a quarterback in Eli Manning, who no matter what happens in the first couple of quarters, if it comes down to the 4th quarter and we have a chance to win, he's 100% on board. And that's what I think when I see Deshaun Watson. Man, this is a guy that, I mean, he's one of the best quarterbacks I've seen in a long time, young quarterbacks, and I'm excited to watch him play. And the only reason why I wanted the Houston Texans to win this game is because I wanted to see him play again next week. And that's how I judge quarterbacks. Do I want to see him play? Would I pay to see him play?
Right.
Absolutely.
Oh.
For me, listening to you and then watching Deshaun Watson, I go all the way back to when Dabo Swinney said, this is the closest thing to Michael Jordan that I've ever seen. And when you watch Deshaun Watson play, now he's not Michael Jordan, but his mentality, which is what you're mentioning, it's like he never falters. He never wavers. He's one of those guys that he can be down, but he's such a playmaker and he's such a player, and he's so mobile and he's so accurate outside the pocket, he can make you pay. It brings me to this point. The NFL has moved on from that pocket passing quarterback. That pocket passing quarterback, standing duck, is getting left in the wanes.
Sure.
And it's because of
right?
It's because of guys like Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Josh Allen. These guys can extend the plays, but they can still make plays down the field. Deshaun Watson can do it with the best of them. He had an electric game. And again, you said this earlier, he needed this. He needed this based on what they experienced last year. And even when you look at his duels against Patrick Mahomes and against Lamar Jackson, he needed to win a big game against a really good team.
Sacked 7 times, slow first half. and was able to do what he did despite his head coach.
Yeah, he's spectacular. He is. He
Nice
should have
tee-up
been.
with the head coach.
Well, and we'll talk about that in a second.
No one's better at the tee-up.
He should have been the #1 pick of the draft the year he came out.
Absolutely.
And he was not even discussed as #1 pick. Now, in revisionist history, we'll say Patrick Mahomes should have been the #1 pick. Patrick Mahomes is one of my favorite athletes ever. He plays for my favorite team. When the Chiefs traded up in that draft, I thought they were trading up for Deshaun. I was devastated when they didn't. I was like, this guy from Texas Tech. So, like, Mahomes turned into this. Deshaun's always been this.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was the third quarterback taken, the fact that he was not even discussed for the #1 overall pick, it's lunacy. And he's proven it every single week of his career. When he first came into the NFL, coming in at halftime of week 1, because Bill O'Brien didn't want to start a rookie, instead he started Tom Savage.
Yes.
And then he immediately goes on a record-breaking 6-game stretch.
Yeah.
Then he blows out his knee in practice. Last year, with the worst offensive line in football, carries them to the postseason. But then in the postseason, when the coaching matters more, they get depantsed by Frank Reich and the Indianapolis Colts. Then this year, looked like same damn thing's going to happen again, because Sean McDermott and the Bills really had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. They didn't have a bye, but they were locked into the 5 seed 2 weeks ago. The Texans were essentially locked into the 4 seed 2 weeks ago, so they knew what was coming. And for the first 2.5 quarters, it looked like it. It looked like Bill O'Brien's been in the lab for 2 weeks doing whatever the hell he does. Sean McDermott's been in the lab for 2 weeks, and the Bills are going to run away with this game, and it's going to be an indictment on this kid. And instead, he runs for a touchdown on a brilliant play. Gets a 2-point conversion with his legs on a brilliant play. And in the fourth quarter and overtime, he's 10 for 11 with a 149 passer rating, and the single best play I bet we'll see the whole postseason. You said it earlier. This is impossible. And he's had a number of plays like this in his career already. Texans fans will lament them, where he's been called in the grasp.
Yes.
Where he has spun out of it, but the play's already been whistled dead. If he goes down, I think they lose. It's now 3rd and forever. They're probably punting, and the Bills are going to get the ball back. 2 guys willed the Texans to victory. J.J. Watt, the best player in the history of the franchise, and Deshaun Watson, the best quarterback in the history of the franchise. And the players deserved to overcome their coaching, and they did it. And I used to live down there, so I have a lot of friends that are Texans fans. I'm happy for them because they deserved this victory based on the brilliance of that young man and J.J. Watt alone.
And, Amani, we talk so much about intangibles when it comes to the football player. J.J. Watt and Deshaun Watson. J.J. Watt, before the game, coming out and saying, I may not be 100%. I'm giving you 100% of everything in my DNA for this game. And we heard after the game that Deshaun Watson at halftime said, enough is enough. I'm going to take this game on. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to stay up, and I'm going to help us will this game. How important is it that 2 guys like that are able to be on a team, again, despite whatever mistakes head coaches make and despite everything they did in the first half?
Absolutely, because momentum is, it's contagious, right? And you want your best players, when the times get tough, in games, which inevitably they do, to step up and say, hey, look, follow me. I'm going to be there. I'm going to take all the responsibility. It's not going to be because of me. I'm not scared of the situation, and that's what you need in a leader, and that's why he's been successful everywhere he's been, because of that attitude. And I could see how Dabo Swinney would call him the Michael Jordan, because of the mentality and how he wills his team to win. Playing against Alabama in the national championship 2 times in a row, just dominating
and the best
both
player
times.
in the field both times.
It was incredible.
And the spark that lit the fire for the comeback was J.J.'s sack. JJ looked like he was really just there almost for an inspirational lift early on. Didn't look like it was going to be his play. And then in the second half, he came on strong for a great moment for him and a great moment for the team.
But for Deshaun, the moment, the game, clearly not too big for him. So
thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.